Our last speaker is Shannon Blosser. Reverend Shannon Blosser is an ordained pastor in the West Virginia Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church, currently serving Mount Olivet UMC and Benwood McMecken UMC in the Wheeling, West Virginia area. He is a disability advocate who writes on small church inclusion techniques and offers training for the small church to help guide the process of inclusion. He currently serves as a member of the West Virginia Developmental Disabilities Council. He also serves as a consumer representative on the West Virginia University Center for Excellence in Disabilities Consumer Advocacy Council. He lives in the Wheeling area with his wife Abby and their two children, Noah and Thaddeus. And today he'll be talking about thinking beyond the church. Welcome to Shannon.
Good morning. There's no worse pressure than being the very last speaker, because A, I'm the one holding you up from getting home, and B, I've got all the time in the world, which you never give a pastor. But it's good to be with you. It's good to see you all. It's good to reconnect with so many of you and to be a part of this journey with you in disability ministry. I am sure and I'm confident that as we have gathered over these last few days and you've gotten the information overload, that you've heard a lot of good things about what to take home to your church, of what to take home and to apply into the four walls of our church buildings and our relationships within those churches. I want to be the one speaker that you hear from today that's not going to encourage you to do anything within your church, but to actually go outside your church, to go outside the walls of our church, and to build relationships with the people that we claim to love, and to build relationships with the organizations and the community groups that are standing with them and fighting for their basic human rights right now. I want to encourage you to get out of the church and get to the work of justice. Justice is a kingdom value, friends. When we think about justice, we often think about giving people what they deserve, right? I want to give them justice. They hurt me and I'm going to give it back to them. But justice in God's eyes is about giving people what they need to thrive. It's about giving people their rights, giving people their honor, giving people their dignity, so that they may fully claim and live as children of God and people with sacred and holy human worth. I want to talk to you about some friends of mine who have helped me to reclaim that as a central aspect of my ministry in West Virginia. These friends of mine are who inspire me today, except for that guy who's lost about 20 pounds since that photo was taken. But these friends of mine inspire me. They are people I met, ironically, last year in D.C., but yet they're all from West Virginia. We met at an organization, at a conference sponsored by the ARC called the Disability Policy Summit, and if you ever get a chance to go, I encourage you to go. It's a great 3-day conference where you learn about the policy issues, the on-the-ground needs of the community, and how you can go and speak and educate people in power about what's really going on. A great way to stand alongside. But I went last year with this one question. How might the church come alongside them? And how might a pastor who loves watching C-SPAN, I know, I'm a nerd, can help with that? But I will promise you, and I will tell you this, that I wasn't really accepted as a new pastor coming into the room. That I wasn't initially accepted as, oh, here's a pastor coming in with this great idea to come alongside us. I wasn't initially accepted even as a person with my own disability, or even a child with multiple disabilities at home. You see, I had to earn their trust first. Because many on that picture who represent organizations that I am proud to be a part of have been hurt by us. And when I say us, I'm not talking about the church here, friends. I'm talking about disability ministries. Us. Two of my friends, and you see them up here. There's Anna. She's got the flowery dress on and the kind of gold-looking, I don't know what you call that, jacket. And then the lady who's trying to push me away from the photo as quick as possible. Again, I'm embarrassed by that photo. Thank God I've lost weight. But her name is Christina, the one standing next to me. It took them a while to warm up to me, especially Christina. Now, Anna, she was quick to get involved with me. She and I became quick friends, but those two are some of the best advocates in the state of West Virginia in moving mountains and speaking justice. But they didn't trust me at first because they have seen too many pastors come up to them and treat Anna, who is one of the most forceful people you will ever meet, as a child. Not as an adult, not as a person who has their own desires, not as a person who has her own strengths and own blessings and own desires to live and serve, but as a child, simply because she has a mental disability. Here's the kicker. It was a pastor who works in special education. It was us. And you know how the story goes. When one person gets hurt, we all get hurt. When one church hurts, we've all caused the hurt. I had to own that with them. Sometimes when we move out of our Christian bubbles and our church bubbles, and we can go out into the communities and actually meet with our ARCs, our autism groups, our Easter Seals and other groups, we actually get a good scorecard of the effectiveness of our ministries. The effectiveness of our ministries and how we are truly doing the work of love and justice. It doesn't come in the numbers of people that come to our buildings, and it doesn't come by the number of people, of volunteers. It comes in how are we making a difference in the actual community we are called to serve. And when we walk alongside them, we will get to see what we're really doing. I got an eye-opener because it wasn't just me who's been hurt by the church. It's all of us. And friends, no amount of sensory rooms, no amount of volunteer training, no amount of bean bags and sensory bags and anything else that you can put in your church will ever replace truly loving as an act of humanity. Love not about having lovey-dovey feelings, but love in that we're going to be committed to you. We're going to stay with you. We're going to fight the battles with you, and we're not going to let you go. My friends reminded me when I stepped outside my bubble that we don't often love enough, and we need to love better. But they also reminded me of something else that's important. They need us right now because they are scared to death. Every time I meet with my friends, and I've been blessed to serve on a couple state councils right now, and every time I go there, we almost have to give ourselves a time to vent because everyone's scared right now. The disability community in your community is scared right now. They don't know what's going to happen with their rights. They don't know what's going to happen to Medicaid funding. They don't know what's going to happen to home and community-based services. They don't know what's going to happen to the very basic humanity that's given to them. And they are scared to death. And they need our voice. They need our voice, not just in building the sensory rooms, not just in making sure we have sensory worship services. I've got those. But they need us in the Capitol halls. They need us in the halls of justice. They need us in the city halls saying, we need these services because they are human services and it's a justice issue. Kingdom work is a justice issue about leveling the playing field so that all may know the love of God And friends, we might say, oh, Pastor, that's not the work that we're called to do. We're called to save souls and count up the number of people in heaven. Yeah, I agree. But what good is it to save someone's soul? What good is it to save someone's soul for heaven if we send them back into the hell of their communities where their rights are not being honored, where their justice is not being maintained, and where they are not loved? They need the church right now. They need the church. They need us to speak justice and righteousness. They don't need us to talk. I never talk when I go to the meetings other than to make a bad dad joke. And those of you who are in the room who know me know that I am an expert of dad jokes. I never speak other than when I'm given the opportunity to. In fact, when I went with them to the Capitol, they spoke first because their voice matters more than mine. I spoke about what matters to me, and that's autism research and autism therapies and community-based services for my kiddo. They don't need us to have a voice. They need us to do what I do with them, to stand up and show up. When they have rallies, I'm there in my most uncomfortable outfit, which is a clergy collar, a black shirt, and black pants, and I'm standing there with them. When they're having the days of the disability advocacy days at the Capitol in Charleston, I'm there with them. And I'm talking to my legislators because they need to know that the church cares for them. Justice work is holy work. Amos says it. The prophet Amos reminds us of what God really desires for us is to do the work of justice and love. And I want to try and give you what I call the Blosser paraphrase. The Blosser paraphrase is when I don't have the Bible in front of me and I got to make it up as I go. But I want to give you the paraphrase of what comes from the Message Bible, from Amos. I don't need your conventions. I don't need your fancy campaign slogans. I don't need your fundraising schemes. I don't need any of that. What I need is justice, oceans of it. What I need is righteousness, rivers of it. And what our disability community needs is the church to not just be about the sensory rooms, to not just be about the adaptable worship spaces, to not just be about making sure that everyone has a space in our pews. God bless it, that's important. That's important. But they need us in the fight of their lives right now. For their humanity, for their dignity, for their justice. The question for us is, will the church come along with them? God bless you. God bless the work that you're doing. And may we fight for justice and righteousness alongside the people we love. Amen.